Do, 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 do. Boo! Hello, adventurers, and welcome back to my channel. Today is starting off to be such a fun day. I wanted to do something a little bit different today because I'm in such a good mood, and I thought that this could be a great way to kind of just like chit chat with you guys, let you get to know some of the weird things about me and my life here on the road. I've been traveling in some capacity for almost 8 years now, and that is wild. Now, along the way, there's been ups, there's been downs, there's been in-betweens, and pretty much everything else. And so I thought, let's just kind of go back in the Wayback Machine and talk about some of those things and kind of let you guys see where we started out, where we're going, and what you can expect. But along the way, I thought also I would circle back to a video I just previously did about how I make my coffee. Now, this was a video inspired by you guys asking the question of how I make my coffee. And I talked about not only how I'm currently making my coffee, but all the methods I've tried in the past and why those worked or did not work for me and why they may or may not work for you. And so after that video, I had a company who sent me an email like, hey, but have you tried us? And I was like, I have not. So they sent me a package, and I think today we're gonna just like unbox that and talk about some of these weird stories and have a little fun. I don't know. Why not? So far, this adventure has been filled with so many cool things. We've gone to museums, we've gone to natural spaces, and there's so much more to come. And so this is just kind of like a wayward point in between. And yeah, I think it's time that we talk about some of the interesting things. But before we do, I'm going to show you what they sent me, and then we'll start to get into that. First and foremost, they saw that I like to wear hats, so they sent me a hat from their company. This is Hi Bear, and it is just so cute. And it kind of matches my clothes today, which is really fun. So I'm going to set this with my other hats, and I will be wearing this on a future adventure somewhere. This is just really fun and funky with this pattern. I love it. This is the company itself. It is Hi Bear, Climb High, and these are all-day adventure flasks. And these flasks are not just for traditionally flasked items. You can also make coffee with these. So I'm very curious to see how this works out. So we will unbox this in just a moment. But one thing I will bring to your attention is this is the Ectopia bottle, and whenever they asked if they could send me something, they asked me which one fit my style best, because these come in different styles. Now, I'm pretty sure that style is a good place for us to start this video with some of the interesting things. If you've watched my channel for a really long time, you know that I started out wearing incredibly zany leggings, which I love. I really do love. But I also would wear matching bandanas, and they would look kind of like this. This is an older picture of me in my bandanas. But as you can imagine, that doesn't feel the greatest when it's all just like soggy right here. So I started to do the floof, and the floof elevates the hair off the face so I don't have sweaty hair and I don't have just like sweat pooling. Sometimes I also wear hats, but again, for the same reason, my head gets hot. And if I'm not going to be able to shower every single day, I don't want to be covered in sweat. Does that make sense? So I kind of shifted away from that and went to a more logical hairstyle for that. And oh my goodness, the things, the funny things that have been said. I've been called Pebbles and Bam Bam. I've had people say I look like Fraggle Rock. I'm okay with any of that because like, I'm an adult with a floof. It's fine. And then occasionally when I feel real special, I do double floofs. And yeah, it's not for everybody, but it's something that expresses my personality. The common theme for anything that I have with my style is that I'm expressing my personality. Bringing in the sunglasses. The sunglasses are something that I found out I'm going to have to wear. I have very weak eyes, and so it makes it really hard for me to be able to just function. And so I have to wear sunglasses quite a bit. But why not, if I have to wear sunglasses that are fun, you know? So I started to experiment with different things, and I have probably close to 100 pairs of sunglasses now. And before each trip, each travel that I make, I select a few pairs that I can take with me so that I can express who I am. But the other nice thing about having different kinds of sunglasses is that each one of them has a different kind of lens, and each of these is selected by design. I select the ones that work better for different kinds of light. For example, a bright sunny day, I'm going to need something that's definitely going to prevent glare and also that harshness. But on an overcast day, I sometimes still have to wear sunglasses, and so I just pick one that works best. which is why I was wearing this one today, because it's more of an amber tone, which works well with the overcast. So, personal style choice, yes, but also function. But now it's time for the grand reveal. This is the High Bear Adventure Flask. It opens up and it has all this cool stuff on the box. So we can do all sorts of different things, from cold brews to infusions to cocktails to teas to pour over, and also they have the cleaning instructions in here. So really, really handy information, and we haven't even gotten to the Adventure Flask yet. It's wrapped up, so it's time to unwrap this little gift. And while we are, let's talk about something else kind of interesting that has happened on the road. Oh my goodness, this is cool. I love the colors. This is actually going to be a really nice compliment to my van, I think. So this is cool. This is very neat. This is very, very good in weight. It feels substantial. It doesn't feel like it's just gonna like fall apart or anything. Some water bottles do. It feels like it has a nice like grip to it. This is almost like a soft silicone filling on the outer coating. This is all metallic. This part also has a little bit of that softer silicone filling to it. Very nice. So this is the Adventure Flask. Now, I'm going to read a little bit more about this, but while I'm doing that, I'm going to tell you guys some more dirt. One of the stranger things that I wasn't expecting when I started traveling, but more specifically when I started van life, was how much that I would end up having to talk about how I shower or how I use the toilet. Those are weird conversations, but at the same time, having a YouTube channel, if I do like an instructional, hey, this is the kind of toilet that I have or something, okay. But this is not that. I'm talking about like you're in a social setting, you're around a campfire, you're enjoying all these cool things, and then somebody just starts a toilet conversation, and then it just becomes the conversation. And you know, those previously were conversations that I would have about music or sports or activities that I was participating in. But even though we're all traveling and there's all these cool things we could be talking about, somehow the toilet is like a central focus of so many van life conversations. So if you're getting ready to start van life, just be ready. It's going to come out of nowhere and you're going to be like, okay, this is what I've been training for. I am ready for this conversation. It's just kind of wild. It's something I never expected, and it's just kind of, I laugh about it because it's like, okay, there's literally thousands of videos, but it still is a conversation at a campfire. Now back to this. It has this nice little tag on here that basically has all of the different features and why that this bottle is superior to others. And one of them on here was pretty interesting. It says that it does tea infusions better than ever, and it has an oversized steel filter inside. So inside here, there's a filter. So I'm gonna just start taking this thing apart and figuring out what is what. The top comes off, just a regular cap. Okay, I'm gonna set all this on my dash because I'm still in the front seat, and look into here. This is kind of interesting. I can see the filter. So I think this breaks apart in stages. Oh, it does. This is very cool. So this stage, and then we have this stage, which I think is this entire bottom piece right here. And then this other stage comes off, I believe, too, because I think this is a cup. I'm not sure. I may have to read the whole instructions, but... Oh, that is nifty. So I think that this is how I can do pretty much everything, is through this little guy right here. Look at the tiny, tiny, tiny little holes in this. I am intrigued. I am so intrigued. This is the only bottle that I've ever seen that does this. And this is very well insulated. It's still pretty weighty in this bottom section. This is going to be cool. I mean, look at this. These are the tiniest of tiny holes. So this means that this is going to be such a clean, grain-free pour. Ooh. And then the top up here, this looks like it has like some kind of mesh on it. Okay, okay. This part unscrews, and then this comes off, and there's an additional little piece in here. Okay, I'm gonna have to do some reading. This is a multi-stage system. I've literally never seen anything like this, and I think that there is more. I think that there is. I think this does come off somehow. I'm not sure. It moves though, so I think it comes off. I'm probably doing it wrong. But that brings me to my next interesting story. The fact of the matter is I've done quite a few things wrong, and I've had to learn from them just like everybody else. There's a lot of things out there that until you've done them, you don't learn the lesson to figure it out. For example, when I was traveling in my car and tent camping, I parked at this like historic site, and then I went back outside to go grab something from my car, only to realize that I had opened someone else's car that was the exact same car as mine. Yeah, that happened. Or whenever I was hiking and I didn't wear the right shoes and I slid down a mountain on my behind, that happened. Or my favorite is when I first got the van, for some reason, my brain just couldn't compute that my door was shorter than I am. And so I just continuously whacked my head over and over again. Yeah, that happened. I left a power cord at home. That happened. I had this really big 6-man tent, and I was sleeping in it one night, and it was really, really windy, and my friend were in it, and it just buckled in on us. And I was too tired to get up because it was like 2 a.m. And so I just held the tent up so that I could go back to sleep. And at some point I just gave up. That happened. When I first started out in the van, I had those little magnets everywhere, and I realized one night, because I almost dropped one on my head, that I probably shouldn't have them holding things above my head because, well, it literally fell beside my head. I was by myself. If that would have concussed me, I think you could see where this is going. But that happened. Fact of the matter is, a lot of weird stuff can and does happen, and you just kind of have to roll with it, learn from it, and don't do it again. In the case of me sliding down the mountain, guess what? I did not wear those shoes ever again on a hike on a mountain. I instead got something with some better tread because, well, that was scary. In the case of me bonking my head numerous times, eventually I just figured it out that I didn't want to wake up going bonk. Ooh. So I learned to duck. In the case of the magnets, I moved them. In the case of the tent, I'm no longer traveling in the tent, but I did learn that that tent was not good for wind. And so whenever I went to review said tent, I was like, not good for wind. So maybe others wouldn't have to make the same mistake. But yeah, it's been a wild ride over the past little bit of time. And again, I just kind of roll with the punches and have a good time. But at the same time, that doesn't mean that I haven't learned some weird things along the way. Most of which have been learned the hard way, unfortunately. It's just life. It is what it is. And that's why I find it really funny when people are like, I don't want to mess up when I first go out. There is no messing up. It's just living experiences, learning from those experiences, and moving forward in a way that works better for you. I always say, if something works for me, it still may not work for you guys because you guys might have a different set of goals, a different set of travel. For example, my van itself, I have a very small van. It's only 48 by 48 in workable space in the back. So it leaves me about 35 square feet on average. That's not going to be for everybody. If you have back issues, that's not going to be super, super fun for you if you need to stand up. If you're super tall, my space is going to feel super, super small. If you are wanting something where you can spread out, it's not a lot of room to spread out back there. So yes, it is a great space for me, but it might not work for you guys. Same thing with the things that I review. And if at any point in time you're interested in those things, evaluate what you got going on with your own world to see if those things are actually the solutions. That's why I always say there's a link here, but don't feel pressured, because if I have something that works for me, it still, again, may not work for you. With that, I think I figured out how this thing works. Okay, so the box has all of these QR codes. So I was able to use the QR codes and figure out how to put it together for different kinds of things. So each one has its own little thing that goes along with it to tell you more about it. But it also has the instructions written right here on the box. So what I would suggest is, if you are wanting to get something like this, to go through each one of these and learn how to do it, but then maybe, just maybe, clip these pieces so that you can put them into a smaller space, like your glove box. If you clip off these sections, you could just keep these with you in case you need a quick reference again, because there is no book, because they're trying to reduce waste. Now, if you scan those QRs, a video like this pops up. It shows you play-by-play of how to do this so that you can go along with the instructions and learn better how to do it. This is so handy, like ridiculously handy. And I'm going to test this out on the road and then tell you more about it after I've used it for a little while, so I can let you know for sure, because I feel like just demoing it once is not going to do it. But look at this. Is that not super handy? This is so cool. Like, it has multiple steps that you can do using this one bottle. I've literally never seen this before, so I'm really happy that they reached out. I really am, but at the same time now I'm gonna have to just play with it. I love playing with new things. I think you guys know by now that I love testing out new equipment, so this high bear is going to be tested and tested and tested. And then I will show you very soon what I think about it, I think, as I do a follow-up. So I'm going to test this behind the scenes, and then I'll do the grand reveal, because I don't want you guys to get too hype before I'm able to show you all the things. Now, a lot of people ask me where I started out. My very first video was the Waco Mammoth Monument in Waco, Texas, and I went there with my family, and then I did my big trip with my friend Pam where I went to the Grand Canyon. Now, those videos are not great. At the time that I started out, first and foremost, I was trying to figure out how much of me I could let the world see, because I know that I'm weird. I'm okay with that. I am loud, I use my hands a lot, I am very high energy, and at the same time, I can duck off in a corner and just people watch. But if I'm out and about in the world, I don't want to sit still. I want to be able to just move and groove and do and see and gain brain wrinkles. And I know that's a lot. So when I first started out, I was very much like drawing it in, like, okay, I don't want to scare people away. And then at some point I realized, okay, if they're scared away by my authentic self, that's okay. I'm not for everybody, and I don't need everybody to feel comfortable all the time. Because if you lessen yourself, if you're doing a public thing like YouTube, then you're always going to feel like you're holding back some of who you are. So I put it all out there, I share it with you guys, and I'm just like, hey, 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 and some people are like, oh no, and that's okay. But being a little bit weird, if you're being your authentic self, is the most important thing. When I set out to start my journey, I wanted to encourage people to live life more fully and also to get out there and do stuff. And there's so much stuff to do. I've talked about it hundreds of times on my channel about how that you can get out there and seek out knowledge and find brain wrinkles from history and science and strange attractions and small towns and big communities, and how all of it teaches us about the world around us. But if I wasn't doing that myself, or I was just saying, yeah, I think you should do this, but not leading by example, where would I be? So I just decided we're going to turn it up a notch, be myself, and if people want to go along for that ride, cool, cool. If they don't, that's okay. And I think that that's one of the weirder things to have a conversation with yourself about, is just letting yourself be yourself. In a world that tells us to lessen ourselves, to be quiet, to sit back, and to just, do the norm, I think that we're already kind of breaking the rules if we're out here doing van life, because this definitely isn't the norm for most. But why not just take it a step further and say, okay, I'm perfectly happy with being myself. I feel good about who I am, how I am, and where I'm going. And so that's been really fun. And because of that, I get to share stuff with you guys, and I love that. Now with that said, I'm about to get on down the road for our next set of adventures, but I hope you've enjoyed coming along. I am going to test this out and make sure you guys see it in the future. I want to give it a good once over and figure out a little bit more. I think the videos are going to be super helpful. I'm curious to see how it works out with different kinds of tea, if it's better for like ground tea or if it's better for the big chunky stuff, because I have some good tea. Ooh! Remember to be your weird, authentic self. Don't worry about what everybody else has to say. You're going to enjoy it. If you're starting off on van life, get ready for that toilet talk and express yourself however you see fit. Till next time, bye.